Chris Ryder. That time of year is here. The 2-year-olds are schooling behind the gate. You got a lot of nice freshmen. Can you tell right away if you have a good 2-year-old?
You can usually tell, not right away, but you can tell by this time of the year. You know, when the daffodils are done and it's warmed up.
What would you say that when they get down to about 210 or so, they start separating themselves a little bit?
After 210, around the 2.3, 2.4 mark is, pretty safe in saying that.
Not really. I mean, you can see the indication if they have ability or not, but it's some horses really show a big difference when they put it behind the gate and in a competition. I mean, I can most likely tell if a horse is really bad, but the top horses, you really never know.
No, you can tell. Trot and fillies first because the divisions aren't as tough. Trot and colts, pace and fillies, and the last thing you can know anything about is a pace and colt. You're never going to know about those until the first time they get tired, and you don't want them tired at this time of the year. But some level off at 55, 53, 52. They could pace at 51 apiece and being also ran. So the division has so much depth it's impossible to tell.
You can have a lot of horses that you can get high on training and stuff. So I would say you get a pretty good idea when you first time you race them and put them behind the gate in actually a race against other horses, other trainers' horses. So, but like I said, training them down, they can fool you. Some of them.
You don't like to put a lot of starts on a 2-year-old, do you?
No, I don't. I mean, like I said, some of those exceptional good horses, they can handle it, but. You try to keep up with a regular horse and trying to chase those top ones, you're going to pay for it later on.
Yeah, the good ones we have had has always been good from get-go.
So right away you know whether they can trot and they kind of separate from the others?
Yeah, they have the attitude and they have the gait, and then if they, like today it's more like a lottery because they come from everywhere, because they are so well bred these days, the horse have the same shoes and everything,
So attitude and gait might be just as important as speed.
Oh yeah, if you have to have attitude on the horse, and because the horses are so well bred, the most of them have speed and. But like I said, the good ones we have, they have always been good from the beginning.
I think the great couple horses I've trained, you knew the first day you put them on the track, and you just hoped you got them there in one piece. And then some other of the better ones, some of my horses that were very good horses, I think. That last trip before you qualify them, I get them around 2 minutes, and I usually ask them for some speed. It's really when you can tell about that point.
I think once you get down to around 220, they separate themselves from there. And depending on their gaits and their breeding, obviously. But 220, I think you got a pretty good idea of what you're doing.
When did you first start getting excited about Darlin's Delight?
Probably around 210. You could tell she was an okay filly, and then she won her maiden at Pocono, and then after she raced here in the historic, like her third start, she just got beaten 53. Then we really knew we had something.
So there's a lot of different ways for a horse to do a 210 mile, pretty much.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It depends. Some horses you can come halves in a minute or 1-1 or 2 or whatever, but a lot of them they separate themselves in the long run. But with a horse like her, she would just take right a hold of you and just do anything you want her to do.
The bad ones are separated right away. You'll know by January. And the good ones you'll know after their second baby race. If they can leave out in 27 and come home in 27, you have a good horse.
I think so. You know what I mean? They got to at 2. They got to have some smarts and a good gait. And the paces they get a little help with hobbles and and the gait's a little more natural for them.
And nowadays, good horses can come from anywhere, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The breeding's, some of the better trotters you see around in overnights and all the open classes, if you look at the pedigrees on them, a lot of them you never even heard of.
Well, they're just like kids, some have more ability than others, and if you got one that starts out good and he does everything natural, you can just train them. Some are better than others, that's for sure. Some improve after a while, but there's some that start out good, and usually if they start out good and they're a nice sized colt, they got a chance to be pretty good early.